Hi everyone, welcome to today's literacy. Make sure you've got everything you need, and we're going to start off with today's Vocab Masterclass. Okay. So today's target word is fetch. I'll say it and you can say it. Fetch. Fetch. Fantastic. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to count the syllables. Remember, the syllables are the beats of the word. So get ready to clap, and we're going to say that word together and clap whilst we say the beats of the word. Fetch. 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 It's got one syllable. Well done. So fetch means go and get something or somebody from the place that they are. And I've got a couple of pictures on here to sort of show you what that means. I think a lot of people have probably played the game fetch with their dog. If you've got a dog at home, you can see that the dog has fetched the stick. And this person is fetching some clothes from their drawer. So that's what fetch means. It means to get something. Is there anything that you can fetch in your house that you've maybe had to fetch for somebody? Tell somebody in the room something that you've had to fetch. Pause the video. Now, as we know, some words can be used in different ways in different sentences. But fetch is just a verb. It's not any other type of word. It's just a verb. What's a verb again? Can anybody remember? Tell somebody in the room if you think you can remember what a verb is. Brilliant, well done. So a verb is an action word. So fetch is an action word. It's something that somebody does. Here is an example of a sentence. We're going to read it together, and I'm going to ask you to do your kung fu punctuation whilst we read it, and I want you to make sure you shout out our target word fetch when you see it whilst we're reading. Ready? Julie was asked to fetch the glue from the cupboard. Bang. Fantastic, well done. Now it's your turn. Can you put the word fetch into a sentence? I want you to make that sentence and say it to somebody in the room. Pause the video and say a sentence with the word fetch. Brilliant, well done, year 2. Here are 2 sentences that I came up with. I'm going to read this one and then I'm going to have a talk about it. The boy fetched a pencil to do his homework. There he is. He's fetched a pencil to do his homework. What suffix have I added to the end of the word fetch in this word? What's the suffix at the end? I've got fetch and then I've got what? Brilliant. I've got the letters ED. What do we know about words that end in ED? I'll give you a clue. It's something to do with what tense they're in. Fantastic. So ED added to the end of a word can mean that that word is in the past tense. So this sentence says the boy fetched a pencil to do his homework. He's done that already. It's in the past tense. What about this sentence? What tense is this sentence in? Can you fetch Miss Hamami? Miss Mannion asked her pupil. Can you fetch Miss Hamami? What tense is that fetch in? Is it in past tense, something that's already happened? Present tense, something that is happening? Or future tense? Fantastic. It's present tense because they're asking them to do something now. Can you fetch Miss Hamami? Well done. The next thing we're going to look at are synonyms and antonyms. A synonym is a word that means the same as our target word. So the synonyms I've got for fetch are get and collect. Get, I'll say it, you say it. Get and collect. Collect. Fantastic. Now, I couldn't think of any antonyms for fetch. Fetch means get something. So maybe you can think of some. Maybe we could have throw away because you're not getting something, you're getting rid of something, maybe. And now we're just going to recap the word fetch. What's the word? What's the word? Fantastic. Tell somebody in the room what it means and pause the video. Brilliant. So fetch means to get something, doesn't it? It means to go and get something from where it is. How can you put the word fetch into a sentence? I want you to tell somebody again and pause the video. Put the word fetch in a sentence. Fantastic. So you might have said something like, the dog fetched the stick, or the person fetched their clothes from the drawer, something like that. Well done. Fantastic. So now we're going to make a start on our proper literacy lesson. So the first thing I want to know is, what is a time adverbial? Can you remember what time adverbials are? If you're not sure, the clue is in the words time. It's something to do with time, and it's also got the word adverb in it. Now we know that an adverb is a word that describes a verb. So what do you think a time adverbial might be? Tell somebody in the room. Fantastic. Don't worry if you're not quite sure, because we've not done a lot of work on time adverbials yet. A time adverbial tells us when something happened. What does a time adverbial do? It tells us, fantastic, it tells us when something happened. So I've got a sentence here and it says, last night I went swimming with my friend. This is the time adverbial, last night. It's telling us when this person went swimming. Last night I went swimming with my friend. It's telling us when it happened. What do time adverbials tell us? Fantastic, when something happened. So now we're going to try to spot the time adverbials in these sentences. So it's up to you. If you want to, you can pause the video and you can read the sentences yourself and write down the words that you think are the time adverbials, or you can listen to me and we're going to talk through them one at a time. Fantastic, let's go. So the first sentence says, yesterday I went to the park. Where is the time adverbial? What is the time adverbial? Remember, it tells us when something happened. Yesterday I went to the park. Shout out the time adverbial. Brilliant, well done. Yesterday. Yesterday I went to the park. I went to the park yesterday. That is our time adverbial. That tells us when we went to the park. Let's read the next one. Remember, keep your eye out for that time adverbial telling us when something happened. Tomorrow morning, I am going to Meadow Hall. Tomorrow morning, I am going to Meadow Hall. Shout out the time adverbial. Fantastic. Tomorrow morning. That's when this person is going to Meadow Hall. So we know that this is the time adverbial. So far, they've come at the beginning of the sentences, but they don't always have to. So keep your ears out for a time adverbial that maybe doesn't come at the start of the sentence. I went to school after I ate my breakfast. I went to school after I ate my breakfast. Where's the time adverbial? Shout it out. Fantastic. So the time adverbial in this sentence is after. When did they go to school? After they ate their breakfast. And the last one. I brushed my teeth before I went to bed. I brushed my teeth before I went to bed. What is the time adverbial? Fantastic. We've got before. So when did they brush their teeth? They did it before they went to bed. Well done, team. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try to use some of these time adverbials to summarise what has happened in our story, The Tadpole's Promise. So we're going to run through each of these first. So this is first. 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 If something happened first, it happened at the start. It was the very first thing to happen. After that, I'll say it and you say it. After that. After that. So that's another time adverbial that's telling us about something that happened after. The next day. The next day. Fantastic. Suddenly. Suddenly. So if something happened suddenly, it happened really quickly and by surprise. We didn't expect it. All of a sudden it happened suddenly. Eventually. Eventually. Brilliant. Eventually means after a long, long time. And then we've got finally. 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 Perfect. Finally is something that happened at the end. So now that we've got an idea about what those time adverbials are, we're going to have a think about using them to summarise the story. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the picture, and then I want you to tell somebody what you think is happening in the story at that point where the picture is. So this is the first picture. We've got the caterpillar and the tadpole, and they're in love. Tell somebody in the room what is happening in this picture. Fantastic. So you might have said the caterpillar and the tadpole fell in love. The tadpole promises never to change. Something like that. If you did something like that, fantastic. Well done. So I'm going to type that up. I'm going to say the caterpillar and the tadpole fell in love. The tadpole promised not to change. And I want you to think, which of these adverbs, time adverbials, could we use to start off our story? First, after that, the next day, suddenly, eventually, or finally. Which one makes sense for the beginning of our story? Fantastic, well done. So I think that the one that makes the most sense here is first. I know that I wouldn't be able to use first anywhere else because this is the first thing that happens in the story. So I would say, first, the caterpillar and tadpole fell in love. The tadpole promised not to change. Now we need to think about what happened next, what happened after that. So we've got another picture here. And I want you to tell somebody in the room what happens in that picture. Pause the video and tell somebody what happened after the tadpole promised not to change. Brilliant. So hopefully you said something that was similar to the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. What time adverbial could we use here? Would we use finally? No, we wouldn't use finally because that's something that happens at the end of the story, so we wouldn't use that. Which one makes sense? After that, the next day, suddenly, eventually. What do you think? Brilliant, well done. So we could have any of these. We could have after that, the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. We could have the next day, the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. Or we could have suddenly, the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. It's your choice which one you would like to go there. I am going to go for the next day. Brilliant so far. So now, let's read what we've got so far. First, the caterpillar and the tadpole fell in love. The tadpole promised not to change. The next day, the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. What happens next? What happens next? Look at the picture and tell somebody in the room what happens next in the story. So you might have said something like, the tadpole broke his promise again, the tadpole changed again, the caterpillar was really upset because the tadpole broke his promise again, the caterpillar couldn't forgive the tadpole. Well done if you got something like that. Now we need to decide which time adverbial we could use. Would we say after that, the tadpole broke his promise again? Would we say suddenly, the tadpole broke his promise again? Would we say eventually, the tadpole broke his promise again? Would we say, finally, the tadpole broke his promise again? What do you think? Fantastic. So I'm going to go for after that. The tadpole broke his promise again. Because I don't think it would happen really suddenly. And I don't think it happened eventually either. I think it was quite soon afterwards that he broke his promise again. So now we've got our next picture. The caterpillar was really upset with the tadpole, and then what did they do? What is this picture showing? Tell somebody in the room. So you might have said something like, the caterpillar could not forgive the tadpole and went away. The caterpillar decided to go to sleep because they were really upset. Anything like that would be fine. So far we've said, first, the caterpillar and tadpole fell in love. The tadpole promised not to change. The next day, the tadpole broke his promise and grew arms and legs. After that, the tadpole broke his promise again. What could we say now? What adverbial could we use? Suddenly, the caterpillar could not forgive the tadpole and went away. Eventually, the caterpillar could not forgive the tadpole and went away. Or finally, the caterpillar could not forgive the tadpole and went away. Fantastic. So you probably want to use suddenly here, because even though the caterpillar had been forgiving the tadpole, it suddenly decided it couldn't forgive the tadpole anymore and left the tadpole all alone. Well done. And then what happened to the caterpillar? Tell somebody in the room what happened to the caterpillar. So maybe you said something like, the caterpillar became a butterfly and the tadpole became a frog. The caterpillar woke up and everything had changed. The caterpillar decided that it could forgive the frog because it had now turned into a butterfly. What time adverbial could we use here? We're going to use eventually or finally. Eventually, well done, because we're not at the end of the story yet, and we're going to leave this for the last bit here. So finally, what happened? Tell somebody in the room what happened finally at the end of our story. You might have said the frog ate the butterfly, the frog did not recognise the butterfly did not recognise the frog, and the butterfly was eaten. So finally, the frog ate the butterfly. Well done, everybody. Now, what I'd like you to do, super fast, I want you to tell the whole story to one of the people in your house and see if you can use a time adverbial or all of those time adverbials whilst you're telling the story and use them to help you. Pause the video, off you go. Fantastic, well done. So now I'm just going to run you through the challenges that you've got for today. The 1-star challenge. You have got this grid and these communicate and print sentences, and they are on the school website. Now what you're doing with them is you're going to try to put them in the right order that they happened in the story. So you're going to read them and decide what happened first. Let's do the first one together. The caterpillar forgave him. Did that come first? No, definitely not. We've not even met the characters yet. The frog ate the butterfly. Did that come first? Nope. The tadpole broke his promise. Did that happen first? Nope. A tadpole met a caterpillar and fell in love. Fantastic. That is the first thing that happens in the story. So we could stick that one on first. I would then read the other sentences to see what came next and do all of them until they came last. The reason we've got this here that says ×3 is because the tadpole told the caterpillar, promised the caterpillar that he would not change, and he did that 3 times, but every time he kept changing until finally on the 3rd time the caterpillar could not forgive the tadpole anymore. So that's why that's there, because it happened 3 times in the story. So that's what you're doing for the 1-star challenge. The 2-star challenge is the same, except you've not got the communicate in print, you've just got the sentences written out. You need to put them in the right order. So what happened first in the story? And you're going to cut it and stick it on. If you don't have access to scissors and glue, you can write the sentence in the box. And again, these are on the school website. And the last one, the 3-star challenge. You have not got sentences to put in order. You need to write a sentence about what happened at each part in the story. Okay, so in the first bit, you might say, a tadpole and caterpillar met and fell in love. The tadpole promised not to change, just like we did when we made our own summary of the story before. And I want you to challenge yourself and see if you can use any of these time adverbials. And you've got some sentence starters to help you and a word map to help you with your spelling. And that is the 3-star challenge. Remember, you can rewind this video at any point to listen to what we've already done together to help you figure out the order of the events in the story. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.